Okay, we have decided to go ahead and break camp. We're using this to teach a class the end of this week, and it's going to start raining, so we want to get it transported over to where we're going to be teaching so we don't have to set it up in the rain. Excuse me, we're all getting over the flu. Here is the number for the company that we bought this from. That's 1150-800-234-1150 Wall Tent Shop. We bought it. This is a it's a 10 by 12. We bought the extended rain fly so that it comes out and we have, you know, like a little porch area, which we really, really like. We're gonna actually video setting this up at our new location, which probably will be in the morning, so I'll be able to go over more features then. But let me just step inside quick and show you a few things that we really like. Okay, we actually, again, this is a 10 by 12. It comes standard with 3 rafters, this front one in the center, and one in the rear. But we felt like we needed an extra, so you can see the 2 in the center, and then there's 1 on either end here. So we have a total of 4 rafters in here. When we ordered it, we wanted the side windows. And when you order it with an extra rafter, that extra rafter ends up right in front of the window, which I don't really like that feature. But if you just got the tent, you know, with the standard 3 rafter, that would not be the case. It's not really a deal breaker. The windows are really nice. They've got Velcro at the top. You can just kind of have a little bit of ventilation like that if you want, or you can unzip them and really get the wind coming in. And they all 3 are the same way. We've not noticed any water leakage around the windows or anything. Now, we'll say that this will leak, especially if you have a stove installed, because the jack here is not designed to fit tight around the stovepipe, because, you know, as the wind blows and stuff, the canvas is going to move, and it needs to be able to move up and down on that pipe, so that can't fit tight. We did get the heavy vinyl floor, which I like it, but when we first set this up, it was our first time setting up, there were no instructions or anything, and we didn't do as good a job as we liked getting this set up, which we will show you in another part of the video. I have a better idea how this, you see how this got flaps all the way around, and then the floor just folds down on that. That's certainly not going to keep out any crickets or bugs or roaches or probably even snakes, but at least it gives you something nice to stand on at night when you have to get up. So while we're doing this, we can show you, we got the screen door, and then it's really neat the way they designed this with a flap. You zip that down, and then you can buckle this. You can actually buckle that from the inside, and that helps to keep weather out.
And then the tent itself is staked down as well with stakes. The other ones are 20 inches long. These are probably about 12 inches, I would say. Not quite as thick, probably 3/8. But very solid stakes as well.
That's the whole tent. Okay, we wanted to show the setup of our 10 by 12 canvas wall tent that we got from Wall Tent Shop. And there's a few points that we wanted to bring out on these angle pieces, and we'll show you how these work in just a minute. Underneath is, it's either stamped, can you see that R? And then this one has a W on it. Excuse me. We're getting over the flu. That means this one is supposed to go on the wall. This is supposed to go on the ridge. We didn't realize that when we first put this together. It did not come with any assembly instructions, and so we noticed that, and that has been very helpful. Also, you want to tell them what the different pieces for. We've got the caps on the legs, so these are the side legs. Those are 5 feet.
These are 5-foot walls, and so they come with the rubber stoppers so they don't dig into the ground, which I like because the tent has a flap that folds underneath, and so it won't tear that flap then, but this will set on that. So I do like that. And then because our tent is 12 foot this way, we have 3 4-footers that will lock into these pieces. And then your longer, these are the 6-foot pieces that
Those
are going to
rafter pieces.
Rafter pieces that are going to meet up to the ridge. Again, you got 4 pieces or 3 pieces that are 4-footers for the ridge. And your 6-footers, you have one on each side to form your ridge. But we went with 4. The standard comes with 3 rafters, but we wanted that extra support in case of heavy rains, or maybe, who knows, even if we're in an area where there's snow, there'd be more strength and support for the tent itself. And so those are the poles. These are all the connectors, and so it's just a matter of putting it together. And we did watch a video how to put the tent on, but when we get to that point, we'll show you what you do for that. But now we'll just begin by putting all of the poles together.
It's like Lincoln logs made out of poles.
Again, the R is for the ridge. The R is for the ridge.
It's starting to take a little bit of shape, make a little bit more sense. Okay, and we just repeat the same thing on this side. Okay, what we're going to do now is, and it's going to take both of us, and I didn't bring the camera stand. I didn't even bring the camera. My mother had to bring it to me, but we're going to lift this side of the tent. My husband will lift it, and I'll come and put legs in. Now, what we do is we unroll the tent alongside the frame with just the legs just in one side, and the tent designer showed this way to do it. And the first time we put this together, it worked fairly well. So, again, we're going to do what we can to show this, not having the stand. One thing that we want to point out, my husband was just pointing to, you want to tell him?
This is the stove jack, and that goes on as you're facing the tent on the left side, so that's why this is going to get lifted up first over the top, So this stove jack ends up on that side on the top. So
And so the door is
the
right
doors
here.
in the front here. You can see with all the clips and the straps, that's the door. This is the front side of the tent.
This side and put the legs on this side. My husband is going to lift it from the inside.
Ready?
Hang on.
Okay, ready?
You can kind of see how we got the legs put on. It looks a little precarious right now, and it kind of is, but once we get it on the frame correctly and stuff, it's very stable. It's got this flap that goes all the way around, and that tucks up under. That's what my husband was talking about. The legs won't tear the flap. The tent legs sit on top of that flap, and then you put your floor in, which we're not going to put the floor in right now. We'll do that later. But it's really not that hard. I mean, I'm not by any means a beefy person, but I and my husband can do fairly well with it. So, and there's the stove jack he was talking about, and the door. Staking down the tent itself.
Well, the stakes for the tent itself are all in, and now we're going to tie down the tent. And so my wife is starting to do that. The rope came with the tent, and there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tie downs on each side for the tent. And so we won't stake them into the ground until we get the fly over the top of the tent, because we tie it to the same stake. We've got a fly and an extension for the tent, and we keep those posts separate in this bag here. It's the same setup as the tent itself. You've got your connectors. They either have the R on them for the ridge again, and the W for the wall. The W for the wall. And so this is an 8-foot extension, so we're just going to set it up next to the tent, and it's going to extend out forward from that. Same setup as the tent.
When you put your fly on, that if you put the flap down right here where it says extended 10 by 12 extended fly, that is right up here. In order to get the stove jack in the right place, that's going to be right up here if you're facing it on the upper left corner, in the front left corner. So just, whenever you lay it out, just remember you have to line up the tent stove jack and the fly stove jack so that you can use it properly. And what we do, we lay the tarp out on one side, and then we tie some paracord and throw the paracord over, and then pull the tarp up over with the paracord. That works pretty easy for us. So I need to put the camera down and help. But just so you know, that where it says extended fly is going to be right up here along the left side of the porch part of your fly. That way your stove jack should line up just so. We could have waited to tie the ropes on the tent until after we put the fly up, but oh well. So it was kind of a trick, as windy as it is, getting the tie to stay up there while we got enough stakes on it. So needless to say, we both had to be an octopus. I wasn't able to film it, but you can see the small piece of paracord there. We put 2 pieces of paracord, and then we put a cord here on the corner to pull it over. And I tried to hold it the best I could while he started getting them staked. The tent does come with the tensioners for the guy wires, guy ropes, but we're not using them because part of the purpose of teaching this class is to teach knots, and so we're just using like a bowline and a trucker's hitch, and we'll teach the taut line and different ways to tie down the tarp.
This chair.
Alright, finished product here. This was kind of a challenge because it was so windy. The winds have calmed a little bit now, but we went ahead and tied every D-ring because our seminar doesn't actually start for 4 days, but it's supposed to rain, and we wanted to just have this here so people could stop by and see, and it is waterproof. And you can see there the stove jack on the fly lines up with the stove jack on the inside of the tent, and it's not real hard to set up, but it definitely is not a one-person thing if it's windy, especially not a small person. But it actually has a pretty sturdy feel to it, to me, because even if you're in here and it's all windy and crazy, and it you know, the canvas flaps and stuff, but it's not bad. This you use to tie back the stove jack whenever you're using the stove, but we're not going to use that this weekend. It's pretty warm already. So one thing I did forget to point out is these buckles that it has on the outside. I mentioned you can do it from the inside as well. I just wanted to show that. You can buckle these on the inside. For me, if this thing is all the way unzipped like that, I'm 5'1". I cannot reach that. So I have to remind my very tall husband to either leave me a stool here, leave me an arm to reach it for me, or don't zip that up so high, because I can't reach that. Just saying.